Shalom, shalom, it's the brother Kadash.
Shalom, Mr. Brother Kunah.
I want to start off by giving our praise to you.
Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Kakodash.
You know, this camp is going to be titled The Act of Faith. You know, breaking that down is a lot of people, especially when you go into these wacky ass Christian and Catholic churches, a lot of them say that they got faith, but they don't have no acts behind that, and they don't think that they have to have acts behind that, you know. They think faith is just saying, it's the same thing with saying the word I love you. They just think faith is the same as that. They think faith is like a feeling. I just got faith, you know, because I just feel like I got faith. They ain't got no words, they ain't got no works behind it. It's the same thing as saying I love you. You just tell a person, or you tell a random person you meet at a bar because you got drunk, you just say I love you. You know what I mean? Does that mean that you really love them? No, because ain't no works behind that. You ain't put no works behind that to show them, you know, that you actually so-called love them. So it's the same thing how these wacky-tacky Christians use the word faith. We just say, look, I got faith. But you might look in on them and look at the things they doing in their life and say, bro, you ain't got no goddamn faith. Where's your faith at? You out showing your faith. So you actually have to show your faith. It's not enough to say you got faith. You actually have to show your faith, right? And that faith is going to be tested and tried, you know, to see if it's real or not, you know. Just like if a person say they love you, you know, when times get hard and they bail on you, then that mean they ain't never really love you. That shit was fake, you know. So it all plays a part, you know. Same thing with the faith, you know. You say you got faith in the Lord, but then when all hell come and break loose, now you kind of bailing out on the Lord. Read 2 Maccabees chapter 7 with the 7 brothers, you know, and see the faith they had. They had great faith, and they actually had works behind that faith, because when they was tested, you know, they stood strong for the Lord, you know. And the elect, we're going to stand strong for the Lord in these times when we test it. That's going to show our faith, you know. So let's jump in this. You got anything to say on it?
Nope.
You know, it's just all about that. There's actually have to be an action behind the things you say in your feelings, you know, to prove that they're real, you know. You can't just say things and have no action behind it, you know. This is James chapter 3. I'll just start at verse 29. Therefore we conclude, 28. Therefore we conclude that a man is justified by faith, right? Justified by the faith. Without the deeds of the law, right? But this is the point. Let's keep going. Some people say, well, you ain't got to keep the law. Yeah, because we're not saved by the law, but we show our faith through keeping the law. We're going to break that down with multiple precepts, you know, because no man can keep the law perfect. Only the Lord was able to do it. It says, he is the God of the Jews only, and is he not also of the Gentiles? Those Gentiles are Israelites, right? So you got the Jews that know they are Jews, right, that's living as Israelites. Then you got the Gentiles, which are also Israelites, right? Because the promise only went down for Abraham, Isaac, to Jacob's seed, right? But they following the other nations, so they living as Gentiles, you know. It says, yes, also of the Gentiles also. Seeing it is one God which should justify the circumcision by faith, right? So that's the Jews, right? They already circumcised in their heart. They already following the Lord. It says, in the uncircumcision through faith. The uncircumcision aren't being called Jews, even though they're all Israelite. The uncircumcision is the ones that's following the other nations. They're not following the Lord. They're being called Gentiles, Greeks, or Americans, or blacks, or Negroes today, you know. Verse 31 says, do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid. Yeah, we establish the law, right? So do we make void? So like the Christian church say, they say, look, I got faith, right? Do we then make void of the law just because you say you got faith? The Bible, that's Paul's writings, you know, they love Paul's writings. It says God forbid. It says yet we establish the law. So just because you say you got faith don't mean that you don't keep the law no more. You have to establish the law, and that actually proves your faith. Now I did say something, I want to kind of back it up. Here, let me see. This is straight to the point. Psalms 147, just to show you the Lord is only dealing with Israelite. You say, why would you go to the Old Testament? The Old Testament and the New Testament goes together. You can't have the New Testament without the Old Testament. All the things a lot of the things that's talked about in the New Testament is only being quoted from the Old Testament. This is Psalms 147, verse 15. Verse 19. It says, he showeth his word into Jacob, his statutes and his judgments into Israel. He has not dealt so with any nation. And as far as his judgment, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. So faith, being circumcised and uncircumcised, that's only for the Israelites. The other nations, he said he showed them to only Israel. That's it. Here, another one real quick on that. Just to, just to get that point out the way, This is Joel 2, verse 27. And ye should know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else, and my people should never be ashamed. He said he's the Lord, he's in the midst of Israel, he's the Lord your God, and none else. So when we go back to Romans chapter 3, and it says, look, he is the God of the Jews, and he's the God of the Gentiles. Who are the Gentiles? They would be Israelites. So that's how you break that down, because he said he's your God and none else, and the Lord doesn't change. He's not going to say, look, I'm your God and none else. And 2,000 years ago, and then 1,000 years after that, he says, no, I'm everybody's God now. That's not how the Lord works, man. That's not how the Lord works.
I can quote it, but I can't quote the verse when he said, I am the Lord, I change not.
I believe that's like in the book of Malachi or something like that. Here, I'll have to find it. You can Google it.
Yeah, Malachi 3:6. Yeah. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed.
And it says, ye sons of Jacob.
Yeah.
Because that's who the promise is for. We're not going to be consumed because the Lord is going to save us. The promise is for ye sons of Jacob. That's the promised line went through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I mean, if you want to go back further, Shem, and then you had a couple of our forefathers in between that, man, their name kind of slipped in my head.
Abraham?
Nah, before Abraham, their names kind of slip in my head. But
Ham and Japheth?
Nah, Ham and Japheth, not the promised seed. It's Shem, and like Aphaz, and then on down to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Just roughly paraphrasing, But that's who the promise is for. That's why it says ye sons of Jacob. Right now, you can have sons of Jacob that's not living as Israelites, that's uncircumcised. They would be considered Gentiles. That's all that means. But we ain't gonna get off of that point because we're trying to show faith that you actually have to have works to back up your faith. What does it mean to have the acts of faith?
This is Matthew 5, verse 15. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven.
And what is that? What does that look like? Letting your light shine before men. This. You come out the camp. You get out here. You're not just on the internet. You're not just an internet warrior or an internet Hebrew Israelite. You actually come out here outside with it, just like the prophets of old was outside. You on the highways and byways, and you letting your light shine. We just seen a couple walking by. They was staring at us the whole time.
Yeah, it looked like they was Ishmael.
You just seen the old guy walk by and he stared at us. We be down here a lot of time and people will walk up, scoff, and some people walk up trying to hear the truth. We letting our light shine for the Lord, right? But with us being out here, are we glorifying ourselves doing it? No, we glorifying the Lord. Because we out here saying, thus say the Bible, thus say the Lord, coming directly out the Bible, glorifying the Lord, what the Lord told us to do, He said, go out the highways and byways. He says, in season and out of season. Right now, we out of season, so we still out here doing the work, and that's where your faith is tested. See, and this is an act of faith right here. We not just at home saying we got faith. No, we actually showing an act of faith. We actually doing a work coming out here. Our bodies is a living sacrifice coming out here in these different elements, different people seeing us, and we actually showing our faith by works, by acts. You know what I mean? You got that. Keep going on that.
Matthew 5, verse 17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
He said he came not to destroy the law. But then, wacky-tacky Christians will go and say, well, he said he fulfilled it, so we ain't got to keep it no more. Next one, keep going.
For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law.
He said not one jot or one tittle, as long as you see heavens, the skies, and you standing on the earth, not one jot should pass. So when your Christian, your reverend, your preacher, your pastor is up there talking, and he got a clean shaved face, no beard, and he's up in age, and there's no reason why he shouldn't have a beard, he ain't keeping the law, man. He ain't giving you the truth. He's not a man of the Lord. Because the Lord said not one jot or one tittle shall pass. Now there's a difference, and I had to explain this to some people a couple of days ago. There's a difference from not keeping the law at all and from not being perfect at keeping the law. There's a difference, because like if you go off, let's just say you go off with something that you can't help, right? But then you repent and you correct yourself and you start back to keep it. You still keep that law, you just ain't keeping it perfect, because can't none of us keep the law perfect. You going off, you know, but you repent from it, and then you try to turn away from it the best of your abilities, right? Then that's different from just not keeping the laws at all. You know, because some people are trying to say, well, if I don't keep all the laws and you don't keep all the laws, no, I do keep all the laws. It's just I don't keep all the laws perfect. You not keeping all the laws at all. That's the difference. If you could kind of understand that there is a difference. So now if you repent, now you could, the Lord will forgive you for it. But the difference with having just one jot, one tittle, like a beard, he got to actually shave that, man. He an older man, you know, his beard grow fast. You know, as a reverend, a preacher, he got to shave that weekly, daily, you know, really. So he could help that. He could simply just not shave. That's something that he could actually help. Just like going back to some of the laws where the woman got to get their hand cut off or putting somebody to death. We can't do that no more. You know, we in captivity, so we can't keep that perfect, you know. But we keep it to the best of our abilities as far as acknowledging it and not try not to do those sins. And he could do that with his beard, so not one jot, not one tittle should pass from it, you know. Meaning that you're supposed to, whatever law that's in the Bible, you're supposed to try to keep it to the best of your abilities, you know. I'm not saying that you're gonna be able to keep it perfect. It's more on that.
And a lot of people, a lot of people love to use the excuse, well, Jesus sacrificed, so that replaced the law. You know what I mean? And that goes to show you that people don't really read the Bible, but they try to talk like they know what they mean, because we just read the precept when it just said that he came not to destroy the law, but to fulfill.
And not one jot or one tittle shall pass from the law, as long as you see heaven and earth, and that came directly from him. So you just got to read the Bible. Are we lying when we say that? No, we just literally read it. It's red letter, and we literally just read it out the Bible. And it came directly from the Lord.
Verse 19, whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven.
Whoever should break the law, statutes, and commandments and just say they got faith. No, it says whoever should do them. Meaning you keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You do them. And even more than that, you going out and you teaching other people that you're supposed to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. They should supposed to be called great in the kingdom of heaven amongst the Israel. But the ones that's not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, first of all, they're going to taste that second death. They're going to die from the second death, or a plague, famine, war, or the sword, or the nuclear weapons, you know. But and they go out there and teach, and this is what your pastors and your preachers do. They go out there and teach you that you ain't got to keep the laws no more. What did it say? It says,
"For the sake of Jesus Christ."
Yeah, but what did that just say? And that came from him himself. He said, "Look, if you don't do the laws and you teach others not to do the laws, then you are going to be called least in the kingdom of heaven." Did he keep the laws? Isn't he the perfect example? If you really follow him, right? What does it mean to follow him? You're gonna be just like him. You're gonna do the things he did. You're gonna follow his ways. What is his ways? The ways of his father, the law, statutes, and commandments, right? So if he's the perfect example, you gotta ask yourself, did he keep the law, statutes, and commandments? Yes. So are you supposed to keep the law, statutes, and commandments? Yes. Did he keep the Passover? Yeah, he kept the Passover. It's an account of it in the Bible. What's that, like Matthew 27, 28, and 29? All that, you know, around that area. Look, he kept them. So that means that you got to keep them. He wasn't keeping it for no reason, saying, look, I'm keeping it, but you ain't got to keep it. Of course you got to keep it. You know, that was it on that. Can you get the other one? James chapter 2. Verse 7. It's just, I mean, it's that simple. We reading it out the Bible. And what are we proving? We proving that you got to have faith, but we proven that you still have to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You have to have works. You know, that's the act of faith.
James chapter 2, verse 17. Even so faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. Yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Shew me thy faith without thy works, and I will shew thee my faith by my works.
He said faith being alone is dead. And this is what these churches will tell you. You know, they tell you all you got to do is have faith alone. That's it. You can sin all week, come to church on Sunday, and just have faith. And that's it. You know, no, faith alone is dead. It says, show me your faith, right, without works. It says, and I will show you, and keep going on that. It says, and I will show you this one. It says, and I will show you my faith by my works. That's all we saying. That's all we doing is talking about the act of faith. You got to show your faith by your works. What's the works? What is works? Keeping the law, statutes, and commandments.
To the best of your ability.
To the best of your ability.
Verse 19. Thou believest that there is one God.
Yep.
Thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead?
Hold on, right there. Faith without works is dead. It said it again. I got a little bit more. But the point is that there is one God. So you're supposed to follow that one God. How do you follow that one God? By keeping his law, statutes, and commandments. It's just that simple, man. And you can't follow other gods, man. Keeping Christmas and shit like that, you following the other guy. His name is Santa Claus. He's a mysterious dude with powers. That's a god. That's a false god. You know, it's not a real God, it's a false God. So there's only one God. You can't say you following the Lord but keep Christmas. You following multiple gods, man. That's wicked, you know? Here, I got a precept. Got anything to say on that? That's completely wicked, man. Saying you following the Lord, but then you following Santa Claus. Santa Claus is not real, man. So that would be a false God. This is 1 John chapter 2, verse 4. He that say I know him and keepeth not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whosoever keepeth his word, so what is the word, right? In him verily is the love of God perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him. He that say he abideth in him ought himself also so to walk, even as he walked. Brother, I write, let me read it. Brother, I write no new commandments unto you. He said, I write no new commandments unto you, but an old commandment which ye have from the beginning. The old commandment is the word which ye have heard from the beginning.
Yeah, so that proves to you right there that first off, the old laws is not done away with. And when Yahushua came and he sacrificed, and he was crucified, that did not kill the old laws.
Yeah.
And when he came and he was prophesying, what was he prophesying? He was prophesying the law of Moses, the old law.
Yeah, he was teaching the law. Yep. Here, I got a precept on that one too. So, and look, it's the same thing. Look, it says, look, he that say he knoweth him, he that say I know him and keep not his commandments is a liar. It just breaks down that much. If your reverend, your pastor, your preacher say he know the Lord, but he's not keeping the Lord's law, statutes, and commandments, like we said earlier, he's a liar. And anybody else that do it, they not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability, but they say they know the Lord, they say the Lord knows their heart, they lying, man. That's completely lying, you know? And like it said, look, keep it his word. And then said what his word is. It says his word is the law, statutes, and commandments. So it says you gotta walk even as he walked. And we just said that earlier too. How did the Lord walk? He kept the law, statutes, and commandments. He kept the high holy days, the Passover. So we gotta walk the same way that he walked. I got a precept on that since you bring that up too about the law of Moses. You know, here, let me see if I can find it.
I think I know where you're going, but I don't want to say it if you know.
This is the book of John.
Yep.
This is John chapter 5, right? If I can get to it, bear with me. Hey, you just get this thinking. It's kind of cold out. It ain't that cold, but it's kind of a little chill. This is John chapter 5. Verse verse 45. Do not think that I will accuse you to my Father. There is one that accuses you, even Moses, in whom ye trust. For had ye believed Moses, ye would have believed me. So how can you say the Old Testament or the law, statutes, commandments of Moses done away with? He said, look, if ye believe Moses, ye would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if ye believe not his writings, which is the Old Testament, you know, the Torah, the first 5 books, you know, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. If you don't believe those books, and what do those books contain? The law, statutes, and commandments. If you don't believe those books, because that's Moses' writings, right? Then how could you believe the Lord? Because a lot of people like to say, look, we don't keep Moses' law no more. It's not Moses' law, it's the law of the Lord, you know. And Yahushua was there when that law was given to Moses, you know. Yeah. But they say they follow Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. Well, he's saying, look, if you don't believe Moses' writings, how can you believe me? Because a lot of the things that he was quoting came from the Old Testament anyway. A lot of the things he was teaching, the law, statutes, and commandments that he was teaching came from what they so-called say is the law of Moses. That's what he was teaching. It says, but if ye believe not his writings, how shall ye believe my words? Question. That's red letter. If you believe not Moses' writings, how could you believe the Lord's words? You know, y'all got to deal with that. So he was teaching to keep the law, statutes, commandments. Even more than that, he was a perfect example of keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. So if we follow him, like you said in First John chapter 2, we got to walk the same way he walked, and that's the act of faith. He had faith in the Father. We got to have faith in him and the Father, right? That they will be done, you know. And how do we show that faith? By actually walking the way that they walk, by having works, which First John broke it down perfect. It goes back to the law, statutes, commandments. You know, you actually got to put that work in. You know.
I just wanted to say, because a lot of people think that the laws is just strictly the commandments and the commandments only. You know what I mean? So like they forget about the dietary law. You know what I'm saying? Or they, I think they think when Yahushua was crucified, right? That was the law that only exists, which was the sacrificial law.
Yeah, they right? think, and then a lot of people think it's just the first 10 laws.
Yeah.
Which you know, a lot of the laws go back to those first 10 laws. That's why those was singled out as being important like that, you know? Because a lot of the laws do go back to those laws, but it's more like you said, the dietary law, you know, the unclean laws, clean and unclean laws, you know? It's laws. It's not just laws. It's laws, statutes, and commandments.
Exactly. And I had another. I had a precept. That's oh, that's what. Right?
Yeah,
I think this First John 2 and 4. He that saith I know him and keepeth not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him.
Yeah, we just read that. Yeah. First John.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah,
we just read all that. Yeah. So I mean, look, if you say you a liar, it breaks down to that simple. That hasn't changed. It's the same way when that was written down. Same thing now. That's why we follow the Bible. That's why we have the Bible. We not having the Bible just to go in there and say, look, I'm reading it, but I ain't gonna follow none of what it's saying. It don't mean anything. We reading it because we supposed to follow the things that we're reading in it. And it just said, he that say he knoweth the Lord and keep not his laws is a liar. It's just that simple. How can you get over that? How can you slither your way out of that and make up something? All you could do is just try to say, well, the Lord died and he was sacrificed, you know, for our sins, so we ain't got to keep the law no more. But then the Lord said out his own mouth, we just read it in Matthew chapter 5, that you got to keep the laws as long as you see the heavens and earth. It's just that simple. You know, and then he even said, even going to the kingdom, which is a future prophecy that ain't happened yet. He said, even in the kingdom, if you don't teach them and keep them, you're gonna be called least in the kingdom. That's a punishment. Keep going
on. Verse 21.
What was that? And
James 2, verse 21.
Yeah.
Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son up upon the altar?
Yep.
Seest thou have faith wrought with his works, and by works as faith made perfect.
Yep. So he had faith in works, and everybody like to say, what do they say? Abraham, show me the faith of Abraham, or they pray to have the faith of Abraham because of what he did, because he was gonna work, he was gonna sacrifice his son at that time, because Ishmael was cast off. But his chosen son, you know, his beloved son Isaac, he was gonna sacrifice him up to the Lord, man. And that was his only son that he had, because Ishmael was cast off. So he had his son in his possession. He was gonna sacrifice him. So he showed faith, that he had faith in the Lord, and he was gonna do whatever it took for the Lord, and he showed works by that. Now the angel came down and said, Abraham, Abraham, you know, and told him not to do it. But that's one of the greatest examples of faith. And then Yahweh Shai is the greatest example of faith, being crucified on the cross. And then Abraham, that's one of the greatest ones. And then I say, if you go to the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 7 with the 7 brothers and the mother, the faith that they showed, those are some of the greatest examples of faith, you know, in the Bible.
And Yahweh Shai, when he was tested by Satan.
Yeah, when he was tested, that's like Matthew chapter 3 or 4 or something like that. Yeah, when he was tested, he showed great faith, because I mean, that's hard, you know, when Satan takes you up and shows you all the kingdoms of the earth, even America, Mystery Babylon. He showed him that. And he said, look, I give you all this, you know, but he stayed true. You know, how many men would have folded, you know, and said, man, you gonna give me all the kingdoms of the earth? Like, I'm gonna be in all of them and run it? Like, a lot of men would have folded, you know, but he didn't. And Job is a great example of faith too, because he lost everything, but he got it all back at the end. I think it was sevenfold. You know, he lost children, he lost wives. He went through hell, man, being tempted by Satan, but he showed great faith, you know.
This is James 2, verse 23. And the scripture was fulfilled, which said, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of God. Ye see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only.
Yeah. So not by faith only. It's by works and faith. Keep going. It's meat on that one.
Meat? Okay.
Yeah.
Verse 24. Verse 25. Likewise also was not Rahab the harlot justified by works, when she had received the messengers and had sent them out another way?
Yeah, you can stop right there. Go to So I mean, yeah, you know, so it literally said it verbatim. What did it say? He was justified not just by faith alone, but by works. You know, that's a great precept. That has some meat on it. That's why we had to keep reading. You justified not by faith alone, but by works, and that goes back to Romans 3, verse 31. It says, we did make void of the law through faith, God forbid, but yet we established the law. So it all matches up and go together, man. And it goes back to Matthew chapter 5. Everything we've been reading goes together. We didn't pull damn near what, like 10 precepts already, just to show you that you have to have an act of faith. You have to have works with your faith. That's what it breaks down to. This is, we gonna keep going, just in case you still ain't get it, because we know Jake is stubborn, hard-headed, you know what I mean, stiff-necked, you know, so we gotta keep going just to prove, because Jake might still have questions.
Beat it into their head.
Yeah, they might still have questions, but what about? Okay, well, this is Romans chapter 7, verse 1. Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law has dominion over a man as long as he liveth. You know, for the woman which has a husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as she liveth. But if the husband be dead, then she is loose from the law of her husband, meaning that if she goes sleep with another man, that's adultery as long as her husband liveth. But when her husband dies, she become a widow, now she can remarry. She's loose from that law because he died. Now she can go get another husband or something like that. But as long as he living, when he take her to be a wife, she got to be a wife to him. She got to be in order underneath him, and she can't commit adultery on him. You know, but what did it say though? It said, how the law has dominion over a man as long as he liveth. So if you alive right now, and it goes back to what Yahweh Shai said in Matthew chapter 5. If you standing on earth, you see earth, and you see the heavens, not one jot of the law shall pass. Now we reading it here from Paul in Romans. Look, the law has dominion over a man as long as he liveth. It's the same thing with Paul. As long as he liveth, he was keeping the laws to the best of his abilities and teaching others to keep the laws. as long as he was alive. Same thing with Peter. Same thing with all the other disciples, all the apostles. Same thing with the Lord. Same thing with all the other prophets, the major prophets, the minor prophets. All of them kept the law all the way to the end. You know, so they the perfect examples. So what did Hosea? What did Joel? What did Amos? What did Obadiah? What did Jonah? What did Micah? You know, Zephaniah, Zechariah? What did they do? They all kept the law to the best of their abilities. You know, not perfect, but to the best of their abilities. What did Jeremiah do? What did Isaiah do? What did Ezekiel do? What did Daniel do? They all kept the law, statutes, commandments. So how can you say you not? You see all these men keeping the law, statutes, commandments, all the way to the end, all the way till you get to John the Revelator, all the way till you get to Revelations. You see them all keeping the law, statutes, commandments, and then you got the fucking nerve. And even man, cause like John the Revelator, this is after Yahushua
death. I was just gonna say that.
You know what I mean? So you see, man, even after Yahushua, still keeping the law, statutes, commandments, and how can you buck up your mouth?
That the law wasn't done away with after that.
Cause why was they keeping it then? Why were they keeping it? Why was John the Revelator keeping the law if he ain't have to keep it no more? He just keeping it because he want to keep it, but Yahushua died and he ain't got to keep it no more. So how can you buck up your mouth to say, oh, we ain't got to keep the law, statutes, commandments no more? It don't even make no sense, because even Peter, he was still doing the work even after the Lord died. He was keeping the law, statutes, commandments. Paul came after. He came way after the Lord died. He was keeping the law, statutes, commandments. You know, the Lord got in touch with Paul. You know, if you know how that happened, put it in the comments. You know, how did the Lord get in touch with Paul? What happened? You know, when Paul encountered the Lord, you know, and came into the truth. For what? He got to make him a prophet, to make him a apostle, right? To go teach the law, statutes, and commandments. And this was after Yahushua, you know. And then since we speaking on John the Revelator, let's show you that he was keeping the law. This is here. Let me see if I can find. This is Revelation chapter 20. What did he say? Verse 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were open. And the other book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. According to their works. What is the works? You see, people read that and just say, oh, they had works. You know, they gave to the poor, you know, which is a good thing. You know, they opened doors for people. You know, they smiled at people and said, how's your day going? They think that's the works. No, man, the works is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. It says, and the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged, every man according to their works. It's just that simple. Every man is going to be judged according to their works. But did it say every man was judged according to their faith? This is a prophecy. It said every man was judged according to their works. Why? Because works and faith go together. So it didn't even have to say faith. If you got works, that's how you showing your faith. So you're going to be judged. Even the elect going to be judged according to their works, but they going to find good judgment. You know? The Lord going to say, look, these your works, you're a part of the elect. And then the Lord going to see some, the 2/3, say, this your works, you're a part of the 2/3. So the Lord going to go over, that's why I said the book was open. The Lord going to go over your book, your personal book. Every man got to work out his own personal salvation. The Lord going to open your personal book, right? And he going to say, look, you did this. And he going to count those things against you. But then for some, he going to say, look, you did this wrong, but you did this right. And then he going to clean your slate of the bad things. He going to wipe them out and say, look, your good outweigh your bad. You're going to be made perfect. It's going to be like you never did any bad, because he's going to clean that. He's going to give you a clean slate, you know? And that's what we doing the works for. And that's why we trying to teach y'all to do the works so the same could be for y'all, you know?
Because you understand that ain't nobody perfect.
Yep. Got that?
Yeah. 36.
Yeah.
Matthew 22, verse 36. Master, which is the great commandment in the law. Master, which is the great commandment of the law, in the law. Yep. Yahushua said unto him that Yahushua said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment.
So you got to love the Lord thy God with all your heart, all your soul. How do you do that? How do you love God with all your heart, all your soul? We just spoke about it in the beginning of camp. Love, there has to actually be an action behind love. Anybody can go to a bar, get a couple drinks, see a little fine thing, you know, a little smooth leg, and say, I love you. A lot of niggas actually do that, you know. A lot of niggas will get a little, you know, a little something, go home with her, you know, get a little fun going on with her, and while they in it, they be all in their ear talking about they love her. First night.
Love at first sight.
You know what I mean? That shit ain't real, bro. There's no acts behind it. And then they wake up, they get sober the next day, and they actually get to see how she looked without the makeup on, and then they kicking her out.
Yeah, now they get to see her personality, her ways, things that she do and don't. Yeah, it's like, oh shit, I was tripping.
Right, so that's what we say. When it comes to the Lord, you can't just say you love him. You have to have works. You have to have the act of faith behind it. You know, keep going. It has to be tried and proven, tested that it's real. You know.
Verse 39. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
Yep. So look, you should love thy neighbor as thyself. And on those two commandments, loving the Lord with all your heart and loving your neighbor as all yourself, all the rest of the law, statutes, commandments, did it say that you're not supposed to keep them, or they done away with? No, it say that they all hang on those, because all the other law, statutes, commandments go back to those, basically those two.
So pretty much these two is the foundation.
Yeah, it's like the foundation. You still got to keep all the law, statutes, commandments, but all of them hang on that, like if a brother steal from you, that goes back to loving your brother with all your heart. So you got to deal with that. Murder, robbery, adultery. You're not gonna commit adultery against your brother because you're supposed to love him. You know what I mean?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you still got to keep those laws, but they all hang on those two laws. Because a lot of wacky tacky Christians will take that and say, look, you only got to keep those two laws. Well, how do you keep those two laws? That's the question. How do you love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and love your brother? How do you keep those two laws? By keeping all the other law, statutes, commandments, man. That's simple.
While the Pharisees, verse 41, while the Pharisees were gathered together, Yahushua asked them, saying, What think ye of Christ? Whose son is he? They say unto him, the son of David.
Right. So how is he the son of David? He came through David didn't have sex with one of his wives and then have Yahushua. He came through the seed line of David, which means he was just born without no father. He came through seed, through sperm. That sperm is Joseph. That's how he's the son. And that's why they say, who do I say he is? Because they know reincarnation. Keep going. They're going to break it down.
He said, verse 43, he saith unto them, How then doth David in spirit call him Lord? Right. Saying, The Lord said unto my Lord, Sit thou on my right hand, till I make thine enemies thy footstool.
Right there, go to Psalms 110. So how is that possible? You know, and I did a lesson breaking this down, but it shows you reincarnation. So he is the Lord of David, right? But at the same time, he came later on as a man who the world calls Jesus, which his name is Yahushua. You know, so at the same time, he's the Lord of David, but he's the son of David too, because he came through his seed line. So a lot of people, that go over a lot of people's head, they can't really understand that, you know. But he's the Lord. He created the earth in the beginning. The Father created who the world calls Jesus, but his name is Yahushua. Yahushua created the whole earth and everything that's in it and everything in the heavens. A lot of people don't know that. You got to read Colossians chapter 1. It breaks it down of the order of how it happens. So he created David, but then he was regenerated or incarnated, or he came down as a man from David's seed. You know, that's why he's the Lion of Judah. Read that verse.
Psalms 110. The Lord said unto my Lord, Sit thou at my right hand, until I make thine enemies thy footstool.
Right there. So we just read it. We just read that, right, in Matthew 22. Now we just went to the Old Testament, which proves that the things that he was quoting was coming from the Old. We literally just showed you. It just said that in the New Testament, and then we went to the Old Testament where he got it from. So the New Testament was always coming from things out of the Old Testament. And I'm saying that because a lot of wacky-tacky Christians try to use that to say, look, we only follow the New Testament, we ain't got to follow the Old Testament. That's not true. Because we just showed you that these things are being quoted from the Old Testament. So to get full, so you will read that in the New Testament, and to get full understanding of what he's talking about, you have to go to the Old Testament. And then really read Psalms 110, then you will get the full breakdown and the full understanding of what he's talking about. It's just that simple. We're going to leave off with this one right here. Because this is what it breaks down to, right? This is the whole thing. This is the end all be all. This is Ecclesiastes 12, verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. So I'm going to give you the conclusion of this whole matter, right? Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. It's just that simple. Fear God, showing your faith, and keep his commandments. This is our whole duty. The Lord not going to put this in the Bible, right? And this was true back then, but now it's not true. Now he changed. Now this is not the whole duty of man anymore, to fear God and keep his commandments. Now it's just to have faith. No, that's the whole duty of man forever. Even in the kingdom, that's going to be the whole duty of man. When the Lord created the earth all the way to infinity forever, that's always going to be the whole duty of man. Fear God and keep his commandments. That's what it breaks down to. So that
Malachi 3 and 6.